is a Fox News alert. Canadian authorities and the U.S. State Department are investigating after gunshots were fired at the U.S. consulate in downtown Toronto early this morning. No injuries were reported, and a Canadian police official says the shooting is being investigated as a, quote, national security incident. And it's too early to determine possible links to the conflict in the Middle East, but we will keep you updated as more comes. But on to this. The suspects accused of throwing explosive devices outside the home of New York City's mayor Saturday allegedly plotted allegiance to ISIS after their arrest. According to the criminal complaint, investigators say 18-year-old Emil Balat told them and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi that they were hoping to outdo the Boston Marathon bombers. They complained that the 2013 terror attack, quote, was only 3 deaths. Meanwhile, the investigation continues in Pennsylvania. And sources say a controlled detonation was used to destroy more improvised explosive devices during a search of a storage facility outside Philadelphia last night. Police also searched the suspect's home. You're looking at that now. That's not far from that storage facility in well-to-do Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Ainsley, I want to put up some of the chilling images that we've gotten in real time of this attack that they wish to perpetrate in the name of ISIS. You see one individual, he's literally lobbing one of those devices. Another, you can see a close-up of this device. One of these individuals was literally in 12th grade.
Oh my gosh, they made homemade devices that were packed with a volatile explosive known as Mother of Satan. Apparently, it's being reported they had watched ISIS propaganda videos. They wanted more than 3 dead, as you reported, Kaylee. And then our own mayor, Mamdani, has yet to mention that these guys who made the bombs were ISIS-inspired. We learned that from the commissioner, from Tish. Failing to denounce radical, extreme Islamic views, in my opinion, he does not have a moral compass. This is dangerously extreme. His wife has liked over 70 anti-Israel posts after October 7th on social media, according to reports. The police, we saw them, was that last week during the snowstorm? They were ambushed. Yes. One was sent to the hospital, or several of them were sent to the hospital, and he calls it a snowball fight. Mm-hmm. So we have a problem here in New York. This is being allowed, and he's not condemning it.
Yeah, no doubt. And Brian, look, that storage facility that was searched last night, we have some images of that. Let's put it up. You know, you wonder how long this was in the works, how long this was being planned. They had a storage facility. These devices were built, and I'd love to know a little bit more about that timeline.
Right, and it makes you wonder some of the things that are really mysterious to me. These two didn't even know each other. They were just, they were radicalized. They teamed up together. They meet, and they try to pull this off, and both didn't. The other thing is fascinating is they waived their Miranda rights and spoke openly, asked for a piece of paper where they wrote down their affiliation to ISIS. And if I to paraphrase, saying, if it wasn't for me, somebody else is coming up behind me to do it. Now, on ISIS on the surface, you wouldn't think for Iran. Remember, Iran was fighting, believe it or not, with us and the Kurds against ISIS when Baghdad was sieged back when Barack Obama thought it would be a good idea to pull everybody out early. So ISIS and Iran have been in pretty much a death march. But the Islamic extremists is the same mindset. The only thing I'd add is the mayor missed an opportunity. He could easily say, I'm a Muslim. This does not represent my religion. Instead, he decides he's going to take it out on what he says a white supremacist that we're arguing, and that he's not going to put up with violence in his city, and then invite Mahmoud Khalil, the radical left-winger, over to dinner to celebrate Ramadan, where he should be in another country or hanging out in the Gaza Strip because of what he did as a radical over at Colombia.
Yeah, and Emily, I do want to point out Mamdani did praise one of the heroic NYPD officers. I want to put up a picture of one of these heroes, too, who literally put their lives on the line by trying to apprehend the suspect. Look at this. It's incredible imagery. Wow. Chief Aaron Edwards just taking action and probably saving lives in doing so.
Yeah, that's NYPD. That's what they do on a daily basis. And this is a mayor that wanted to defund them, that still wants to defund them and defund SWAT. And yes, last night, entertaining Mahmoud Khalil for dinner. He should have had NYPD rank and file over for dinner. He should have been thanking them a little bit more publicly than this, considering that you are correct. The only anti-Islamist extremism, the only rhetoric coming over condemning it is from Tish, the NYPD commissioner, who, by the way, my sources tell me she's only allowed to speak at those pressers with his specific approval and with a script specifically approved by the mayor. And you, by the way, layer that on top of the fact that as we sit here, the monster responsible for murdering NYPD Detective Jonathan Diller is on trial right now for murder. This all happens in New York City at the same time, and we need a mayor that for once will appreciate publicly and vehemently the sacrifices that our brave men and women make, because in that moment they were running toward battle, because make no mistake, this is a homeland attack. This is one of many that we have had and many to come, where ISIS-inspired monsters try to throw IEDs in this particular event, and NYPD, just like our soldiers, run toward it to save the public in the same week that they get smashed in the face by actual ICE in the ungrateful public fomented by Mamdani. So all of that is sickening to me, but bravo NYPD as always, who puts their lives on the line for us.
Yeah, Mamdani, just to quote him exactly what he said, I want to commend the officers who were on site. They faced a chaotic situation that very quickly could have become far more dangerous, but some criticizing it, saying it was a carefully crafted statement. Harris.
Well, look, I mean, not to put too fine a point on his words there, I'm not really paying attention to what he says. I'm watching what he does. So if you're going to take 5,000 police officers out of the population of the cops here, and look, I'm not going to pretend like I've read every word of a changing document that they're trying to get through the city council and him and them fight about the money and all that. At the end of the day, you're not adding officers, and that's really what we need. You're removing thousands of them. And by the way, in this city, they're losing 300 a month in retirement of police officers. Well, do you blame them? I mean, these guys aren't all 80, so they're leaving because of other reasons here. They can't do their jobs. This is a critical moment for all of us as we try to stomp out what he won't say, radical Islam across the world. That the kind that wants existential end to us as a country, our lives, and our ally, Israel, and anywhere we have population. So, again, Canada, when they're hitting our U.S. embassies with gunfire, they're looking at that. And they're saying, look, this is, and even they said this, the Toronto police, this is the sort of thing that can happen when you're doing what you're doing a world away. And it is, and they're our neighbor to the north. I look at all of that as the constellation with which he must lead. I didn't hear a word the other day about, you know what? Fine, you want to talk about anti-Muslim violence at that moment, even though this was ISIS-inspired and those suspects told you so? Fine, you want to do that. But then talk to me about how you're going to harden the targets that we know are really under pressure right now, like the synagogues. This event in Canada was on the heels of 2 synagogues getting hit. Right? So they know what they're dealing with there. Why don't we know what we're dealing with here in New York? I don't live here, but what he does affects everybody when we work here.
Totally underscores why we need a Department of Homeland Security that should be funded. Yes, I'm looking at you, Democrats. It is time.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.